This segment is proudly sponsored by Chef Diego Simpson, also known as Chef Bubba, founder of the Chef's Table. Based in Atlanta, Georgia, Chef Diego brings elevated Southern cuisine with a fusion twist to private events, weddings, corporate gatherings, and exclusive dinners. From oregano-crusted lamb chops to fresh chimichurri to handcrafted crab cakes and curated tasting experience, every plate is designed to leave a lasting impression. If you're looking for more than just food, if you want an experience your guests will never forget, Chef Diego Simpson's who you call. Follow him, book him, and taste the difference. The Chef Tables, elevated Southern cuisine. Now let's get into it. All right, we're going to read it, man. Let's read it. This letter is a response to the open request submitted pursuant to the Georgia Open Request Act. Please find attached initial incident report for case number reporting Kevin Bass. No supplement report was completed by the initial deputy. Additionally, no associated incident report beyond the initial incident report, offense reports, or additional case number were located after a reasonable search of our records. This case status is listed on the first page of the incident report in the administrative section. Pursuant to O.C.G.A. subsection 50-18-72A4, because this case remains active, the following request document and recording related to case number regarding the disappearance of Kevin Bass are not subject to disclosure at this time. CAD reports and all call for service logs reference Kevin Bass, 911 logs, audio recording relating to the initial report, writing search document including search plans, search logs, grid maps, and K9. Deployment records and command notes, additional pursuant HIPAA. We're not concerned with HIPAA. Please feel free to contact our advocate and any questions concerned. Definitely gonna follow up. But they didn't. I know they didn't note in there any interview in there, because I know they did some interview with some people close to this situation. But we're gonna get to that. But let's get down to the reason why this makes no sense. All right, the controlling rule, O.C.G.A. subsection 50-18-71A. This is what it says. It says all public records shall be open for personal inspection and copying, except those which by order of a court or by law are specifically exempt, right? There is no blanket active case exemption in the Georgia Open Records Act. Everything is public unless a specific exemption applies to that specific record. That's Georgia law. What they cited is, they cited O.C.G. subsection 50-18-72A4. This section allows temporary withholding of law enforcement or prosecution records only if disclosure would reasonably be expected to interfere with an active investigation or prosecution. But the statute has two critical limits they did not address. Limit 1, mandatory disclosure is still required. O.C.G. subsection 50-18-72A4A, even in an active case, agencies must still release incident reports, right? Initial accident reports, basic information regarding the event, time, location, and responding officer. Now, they compile partially by releasing the initial incident report. That's an admission that the exemption is not absolute, okay? Limit number 2, they must justify each record, not categories, okay? O.C.G.A. subsection 50-18-71D, as in dog. If records are withheld, the agency must specify the legal authority exempting each record. Let me say that again. The agency must specify the legal authority exempting each record by code section, subsection, and paragraph. That's Georgia law, people. But what they did is they withheld entire categories: the CAD, the 911, search logs, K9, command notes, without explaining how release of each would interfere with an investigation. That's not what the statute allows. And they've done this on several occasions on various cases. And this is the gripe I have when you're talking about this is black and white Georgia law. They must give it an exact subsection, code section, and paragraph that gives them the legal authority exempting that record, not cases active, not the cases pending. Because you can redact things that could interfere with your investigation. You can't keep the whole file. Now, Georgia courts and the Attorney General have repeatedly said an agency cannot withhold records merely because a case is open. The exemption applies only in the extent disclosure would harm the investigation. Now, in the event of Kevin Bass, you're talking about 6 years. In the event of Ronnie Reeves, you're talking about 9 years, right? And it must be narrowly construed, right? That principle flows directly from O.C.G.A. subsection 50-18-71A, presumption of openness. It also falls up on a subsection 50-18-72A4, limited discretionary exemption. And it also falls up on the 50-18-71D, burden on the agency to justify withholding. Okay, here's the problem with the things they're withholding: the CAD logs and the call for service. These are routinely released in active cases because they are administrative timestamp records, not investigative strategy. Okay, 911 call logs and audio. Georgia law does not create a per se exemption for 911 audio in active cases. They must show how release would interfere, not just say they're active. And they've been doing this for the over 10 years now at the Baltimore County Sheriff Department, right? Search documents, grids, K9 deployment, and logs. They may redact tactics and sensitive details, but they cannot withhold existence, dates, locations, and completed actions once those actions occurred. Now, HIPAA does not exempt police records wholesale. It allows redaction of medical information, not suppression of the entire report. They did the correct thing by redacting medical info, but HIPAA does not justify withholding the CADs or the 911 or the search records, right? O.C.G.A. subsection 50-18-72A4 does not create a blanket exemption for records in an active case. It allows withholding only to the extent disclosure would interfere with an investigation. And the agency bears the burden of proof on the O.C.G.A. 50-18-71D to justify each withheld record with clear specifications. Oh man, this is Lamar King, senior investigator analyst, New Media, man. And this is getting like a broken record. Like, I really want the citizens of Milledgeville, I really want the leaders of Milledgeville, I really want people under the sound of my voice to understand this. The Baldwin County Sheriff's Department does not have the authority to withhold public record without a court order or without a specific reason as to how it would interfere with their investigation. And they need to declare the actual law, subsection, paragraph, and code section that it applies to. That's Georgia Black Letter Law, people. I don't know how many times I got to say it. We still on the Georgia Railroad, y'all. Be great today. Peace.